Sairam, Bhavani, we can't hear you. I know that you're saying something, but we can't hear you. Um, Unable to hear. Could you please check, Sairam?
Sairam, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. So I don't know why that is.
For quite some time, I was just thinking it is my laptop, something is muted or whatever
Oh,
it is.
oh
So I
my
was
goodness.
trying to see
Okay.
what's going on. Then I realized that
You still
maybe,
hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you,
Perfect. Okay, thank God. Okay.
Sairam.
Thank you. Sairam. So I think there is something wrong with my headset today. So uh and so anyway, I was just saying that as a review of the last session, we did meditation and we did listen to chapter 39 and followed by a little talk on we had a little discussion and then we talked about we heard a SSC student from actually a student from the Sri Satya Sai school in Nairobi, I think, and we heard him talk about his transformation journey. It was a very short one, just to put in perspective on our current SSE and the importance of SSE that Swami always gave it to, and we also think that being part of SSE is the most important part of education that we give to our children. So that is a little snippet from Saturday. Does anyone have anything to add?
Sairam, I just was thinking about that particular chapter, and in some ways, to us, it is far-fetched. Like, somebody who is gone, uh, and, God goes and brings back from death into the reality. Um, but what does that mean? So I was thinking about that, and what it means is when we lose something, the whole thing is the mind and our own way to cope up with something that you have lost. And I was thinking that, if we lose something and we pray intensely, what you will find is something that gets the grief away, something that gives you a closing, if they call, sometimes here, you know. So that's what really I think is the significance of that particular story. I was just reminded of, a talk by Sundarayar in the retreat,
Mm-hmm.
when, he said his father in his later years spent all his time in Puttaparthi with the hope that he will be able to, leave this life, at the feet of Swami.
Mm-hmm.
And just about then, he had to actually go and visit his brother or somebody, and that is, before he could return, he passed.
Yeah.
And Sundarayar was very, 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 angry, actually angry with Swami,
Mm-hmm.
that this was his last wish, and he was here all the time, and this is what happened. And Swami told him, he wanted to be, to pass at my feet, and he's right there at my feet now. So that kind of gave him, the reassurance and the closing for
Mm.
him. So I think that's what is the significance of that story, I think. So
Oh, very nicely put. Thank you, Shankaranji. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, so we are going to complete this the Bhagavata Vahini series. So I am going into the next chapter today, and this is chapter 40. It talks about from death to immortality, and we will listen to the chapter. I do have a few questions later, and we can definitely discuss this further. So with that, let me.
Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 40, From Mritha to Amritha. The king, who was listening to the thrilling narrative of the gratitude of Krishna towards his guru, suddenly opened his eyes, and seeing the sage before him, he said, "Ah, the Leelas of Krishna, his wonder-filled acts exceed each other in miracle and mystery. God is prepared to assume any burden in order to correct and improve the world. By this means, he proclaims his genuine majesty and might. But the dark smoke of Maya, delusion, settles hard on the eye of man and renders him incapable of recognizing the divinity. Therefore, he misses the inner significance of these Leelas." Sukha understood the working of the king's mind. He replied, "King, the confusing influence of Maya is the consequence of the accumulated activities in previous lives. One can escape Maya through good consequence. One succumbs to it if the consequence is deleterious. If good activity has marked previous lives, any sinful tendency will be overwhelmed by virtuous tendencies in this life, and one will have faith in divinity. One will attach himself to the divine and spend his life on the basis of the divine. On the other hand, those who have committed horrible crimes in past lives have the dreadful darkened vision which prevents one from seeing the divine. Such a one never reminds himself of God and his handiwork, never yearns for his own good and the good of others. He sees things in false perspective. He revels in wickedness and engages in vicious acts. Faith in God is the harvest of the seeds planted in previous lives. It cannot be grown and harvested on the spur of the moment." Hearing these words, the king grew anxious to know more about the punya and papa, merit acquired by means of good activity and demerit acquired by means of evil activity, and their impact on the lives of men. So he prayed Sage Sukha to tell him one more incident from the career of Krishna, which deals with a curse and its cure, illustrating the principle of destiny. Sukha laughed at this request. "King, countless are the cures which Krishna effected on those affected by curses. The Rakshasas, ogres, whom he killed while he was yet a child and later as a boy, as I had told you, were all cursed to be born so, as a punishment for some evil deed. And when they met with death at his hands, they were liberated from the curse." The king put in a suggestion at this stage. "I have heard that the uprooting of the tree was an amazing incident of outstanding importance. If you elaborate on that, I can derive deep joy therefrom." On this, Sukha, who was ever ready to oblige him, began the story. "King, though there was no paucity of servants, it was Yashoda, the mistress of the house, who, according to traditional custom, did all the chores of the household, boiling the milk, curdling it, churning it, and preparing butter. All these activities were personally done by her. One day, she woke up as usual at the beginning of the Brahma Muhurtam, that is 4 a.m. She took her bath and went through the early morning duties. Later, placing the milk pot before her, she started churning the contents, vigorously pulling the ropes which kept the churn rod steady in the liquid, all the while singing sweet hymns of God. Meanwhile, Gopala, Krishna, came forward with slow but steady steps in the place where the mother was churning and singing, and gave a sudden sharp pull at the end of her sari. Yashoda was startled at this unexpected pull. She turned round and was most pleasantly surprised when she found it was the mischievous child, Krishna. Putting a stop to the churning, she took Krishna into her arms and fondled him. "Dear son, it's not dawn yet. Why have you got up from bed so soon? Go, my darling, sleep again for a few minutes." But the divine child lisped most entrancingly that it was hungry and began sobbing pathetically to confirm its yearning for being fed. The mother's heart melted. She placed the churning rod on the side and covered the pot with a lid. Then she took Krishna on her lap, sitting just where she was. While she was feeding him at her breast, she stroked his head gently and softly. Just then, she heard the noise of a pot rolling down from the oven in the kitchen inside. She suspected it was the mischief of the cat. She lifted the child from her lap and placed it on the floor, for she had to run in to examine what had happened. When Yashoda disappeared into the next room, Krishna was incensed at her behavior, dropping him in the middle of his feed. He saw the pot before his eyes and turned all his anger towards it. He gave it a hard blow with the churning rod, and when the curds flowed along the floor, he collected the butter and stuffed it into his mouth and hastened out of the room, lest he be admonished. When Yashoda came into the room, she saw the pot broken, the curds on the floor, the butter gone. And Krishna had made himself scarce. Knowing this to be the handiwork of Gopala, she searched for him in every nook and corner. She could not find him anywhere. She went into the neighboring houses and inquired whether he was found by anyone there. Everyone declared that they had not come across the child. They did not know where he was. Yashoda was really frightened. He must have run away, dreading punishment for having broken the pot and letting flow the contents. Oh, poor child! It has run out into the darkness, she thought. She searched house after house in the street. At last, she caught him in the act of taking down a pot of butter from a sling where the mistress of the house had kept a series of pots full of milk, curds, and butter. Krishna was standing on an upturned mortar so that he could lift the butter pot and bring it down safe to be shared with his comrades. Seeing him, Yashoda shouted, "You thief! Are you behaving like this in every house? When the poor gopis complained to me about your thefts, I used to blame them without verifying their charge and send them away. I have now seen it with my own eyes. Yes, I can scarce believe my eyes. Oh, how mistaken I was all these days. I cannot let you escape hereafter. No, if I let you off, on the plea that you are a child, later it will lead you on to a calamitous crime. I must punish you effectively now and not pardon you at all. When the child of a great family turns thief, it is a disgrace to the entire clan. This ill fame cannot easily be wiped off. The reputation of our family will suffer." Her agony was beyond expression. She had not suffered so much humiliation before. She yielded to a great rush of anger. She brought a long thick rope and went near him with intent to tie him fast to the heavy mortar. Gopala, knowing her intention, slipped in and out of every door and dodged her attempts to catch him. The mother ran behind him through every lane and street. She was well on the side of the fat. She had never before run so fast, so she was soon exhausted. Her gait was slowed down soon. She started gasping for breath. Men, women, and children began laughing at her vain pursuit of the little child. They enjoyed the fun and derived all the more merriment from the prank of Krishna and the foiled attempt of his mother to bind him. Gopala is omniscient. Nothing is hidden from him. So he realized that the mother was too tired to move forward, and he allowed himself to be caught. Yashoda could not lift her hand to beat him. She caught him firmly by the hand and saying, "Come home, you thief. It won't be nice if I beat you in the bazaar. I shall teach you a lesson at home." She drew him home. There, she dragged him to the side of a huge stone mortar so that he could be bound to it by means of a strong rope. The rope she brought was found too short, So she went in and brought another for being knotted onto the first. She had to do this again and again. For however long the rope, Krishna seemed to grow so big that it would not reach round him. Just a bit more length was always wanted to admit his being tied. The mother wondered at this amazing development. To what was this miracle to be ascribed? She did not know. At last, she could somehow tie a knot, leaving him bound to the mortar. Yashoda went into the house and engaged herself in regular household duties. Meanwhile, he drew the mortar along, went into the garden with the mortar rolling behind him. There, a tree grew with twin trunks side by side, very near each other. The mortar was caught between the twin trunks, and when the divine child gave a slight pull to overcome the obstacle, the tree was uprooted. It fell with a great resounding noise. The noise attracted everyone to the house of Yashoda, where the tree fell, though there was no rain or storm. Yashoda hurried to see what had happened. She was astounded at what she saw. She saw Gopala in the midst of the fallen foliage, between the enmeshed branches. She ground along and went near the child. Unloosening the rope, she carried away the child and felt quite relieved that he had escaped another terrible calamity. "My child, did you get a fright? Oh, how wicked I was!" The mother wailed aloud. But while she was lamenting thus, two divine forms, both male, emerged from the tree. They fell at the feet of Gopala. They stood with folded palms and said, "O Lord, we are the sons of Kubera. We are twin brothers, Nalakubera and Manigriva. Through the curse of sage Narada, we were turned into this tree and existed as such. This day has seen the end of that curse through your grace. If you permit us, we shall go back to our own place." Thus saying, the two divine forms disappeared. At the sight of those strange divine forms, the people of Gokul were taken aback. They were filled with great joy. Though they listened to the glorification of Gopala as God, though they had concrete evidence of his divinity, they relapsed into Maya, delusion, and resumed their conversation about Gopala being the son of Nanda and Yashoda, and felt he was their cowherd friend. They were caught up in the coils of illusion. When Sukha said thus, the king interposed with the question, "Master, how did this Maya acquire such overwhelming power? Who endowed Maya with the capacity to hide the glory of Madhava, God himself? What exactly is the real nature of Maya? Please tell me." Then Sukha explained, "King, this Maya is not anything separate with its own form. God is discernible only with the sheath of Maya. He is evident because he has worn the accoutrement of Maya. It is his upadhi, that is to say, Maya obstructs the reality. Its nature is to hide the reality and make it appear as the unreal. Only he who removes it, destroys it, beats it off, cuts across it, he alone can have a vision of God. He alone can attain God. Maya makes you feel that the non-existent exists. It shows water in the mirage. It makes you see what is imagined and desired as truth. Delusion cannot affect a man if he is able to give up desire or imagining and planning. Or else, how could Yashoda, who has seen with her own eyes on many occasions the divinity of Krishna, slid back into the belief that he was her son? The imagining, the desire, that was the cause of this delusion. The body is of the son and of the mother, But the real core, the Dehi, the embodied, that has neither son or mother. The mother body is related to the son body, but there is no mother Dehi, no son Dehi. If one gets faith firm in himself, there can be no more desire for external pleasures. Inquire and investigate. You will know this truth. Without that inquiry, delusion will grow and intellect will be slowly subdued. The role that divinity takes upon itself brings about results that are really momentous. The Vedanta teaches that one should penetrate behind the role into the reality. This is its inner meaning. Deluded by the role, man pursues desire. Believing the body that is assumed to be real and true, man falls into Maya. For those whose attention is concentrated on the body, the person within will not be visible, isn't it? When ashes cover, the red cinders will not be visible. When clouds gather thick, the sun and the moon cannot be seen. Moss, floating thick upon the waters of a lake, give the illusion that it is hard ground over which there is vegetation. When the eye has cataract over the pupil, one cannot see anything at all. So too, when the notion of the body, being the reality, is predominant, the resident in the body is not noticed at all. Master, this day, in truth, the veil has fallen off from my mind. Your teaching has, like a gust of wind, shaken off the ash over the live cinders. The illusion that this composite of 5 elements, namely this body, is the reality has been totally exploded and exterminated. I am blessed. I am indeed blessed. With these words, Maharaja Parikshit fell at the feet of the Guru Sukha. Meanwhile, the gathering of rishis, sages, and common citizens fell into animated conversation. When time clicks fast towards the end, the body too has to get ready to drop, isn't it? The body drops when the vital airs stop flowing in it, but the mind will not leave off. For this reason, newer and newer bodies have to be assumed until the mind is rendered empty, devoid of content, vacant of wants. This day our Maharaja has differentiated the mind from the body. Now, he is in such bliss that even vital airs can't make any impact. When the mind is merged ever in Madhava, God, the body will be all divinity. Its humanness cannot be identified. The teaching conferred by Sukha today is not directed to Parikshit alone. It is for all of us, they said. It is for all who are afflicted by the delusion that they are the body in which they are encased. This type of delusion is the cause of bondage, but the other type, the belief that we are the Atma, that is the means of liberation. This is what the Vedas and the Shastras declare. The mind which welcomes the delusion or which entertains the idea of the reality is therefore the instrument for both bondage and liberation. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoha. This statement of the Shruti is the truth. Ruminating thus for some time, the people sat with eyes closed, lost in prayer. When the sun was about to set, the sages walked towards the bank of the sacred Ganga, holding the water pot and stick, kamandalu and danda in their hands so that they could perform the evening rites.
Okay, Sairam. Yeah, so this is chapter 40, and I know this talks a lot. This chapter focuses on the mind and the state of being, and I think we did discuss this in our previous sessions as well. But just wanted to see if anyone had anything to add here. I do have a few questions here, but obviously nothing to we don't have to be sticking to these. We can definitely talk about um, any other topic that may come to your mind as well. So please go ahead. Okay. If there is nothing, then we can go through these questions. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sairam, Bhavani, can you go back to, I think, 2 slides before?
Slide.
Um,
This is the mind.
yeah, the mind. Yes, I
one?
think. 1 second. This day or no, not this. The one before this. So what I wanted to see was where he says that where the mind is a continuous flow. It just that as long as the mind exists, it just takes the human body, so,
Yeah,
a
one
different
body
body,
after the other.
one
Yeah.
body after another. So that means the mind is the
Mhm.
mind is the mind the same? No, mind is each individual soul's mind, right? That's all. But the soul itself is universal. The Atman is the same. So the mind, say for example, my mind, can I say it's my mind? And that mind, as long as it's not empty, it's going to seek another body and continue as long as at some point the mind becomes empty and there is no need for any other body. Is that a fair understanding?
Yeah, can I take a shot at this?
Yeah.
So basically, mind is part of the subtle body. The subtle body never goes away until you get that knowledge that you are not the body, and that is when it gets emptied. Um, so as long as we have a desire, that's why any desire in this life will be satisfied. You have to have the belief that it will be satisfied. So if you hold on to that desire, then if it cannot be satisfied in this life, you will come back and you will have another life, because that desire is going to be in your mind, and then mind is part of the subtle body. Subtle body travels from this physical body to the other physical body. So in order for the subtle body to completely get emptied, then the desire has to completely go away. So that is why it's, in all Bhagavad Gita, everywhere they says, offer everything to God, don't expect for any reward, because the reward will give you that, hold. So I think that is in simple form what it is.
Mhm.
So that means each life form will have a subtle body, right?
Yes, yeah, we have, those.
Each, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
No, so the only question that I have in this case is that after Shankaranji answered that. So if we have a desire and you're saying the desires carry from janma to janma or life to life, right? I thought uh, the mind doesn't go to the next body. Now I'm not sure anymore, but so the mind is subtle, and mind does not move along to the next janma or next body that we take over, right? Or we
The
take
subtle,
form in.
the subtle body, the contents of the subtle body get into the minds of the next Janma. Okay,
Oh.
so that is why we get all these vasanas. All these come from that.
Mm-hmm.
And from the previous Janma, he was talking about how some people are born evil, do not, seek God.
Right.
And so I had actually more of a question there, because
Mm-hmm.
how do they, when they don't know there is existence of God, they go through this life,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happens? How do they get that? He talks about some of the Rakshasas, when, God comes in himself, to release them from that bondage. And I suppose they realize immediately, oh, it is God. And then, they are able to come out of that evil thoughts. Um, but that's really the thing, when all that is coming in the subtle body, into this mind, into this life, and some are, just filled with that, you know. Um, so eventually they will, I suppose they come out. We all have some percentage. Hopefully we are cleansing out, because we have some percentage of good qualities. We are trying to fight the bad qualities so that, we build up that big, good, in a larger scale. And eventually in one of the lives, good is predominant. And so that's what the whole thing is about. Probably, maybe Manoj has something to say.
Yes, sir. I definitely want to uh, give the Vedanta point of view here. This topic is pure Vedanta. So let's come back to the formation of the body. We all of us know the Sthul Sharira, that's the gross body, the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, and the Agyana is the basis. Agyanam is the basis of subtle body, and then the Sukshma Sharir and the Sthul Sharir. Agyanam. And once we get the Gyan, obviously the Sukshma Sharir will go away, and once the Sukshma Sharir goes away, there is no look, or the Sukshma Sharir does not have to go beyond next Janma to find another body. So what Bhavani ji was asking, so normally the Sukshma Sharir travels to another body because there are hidden sanskaras, the unfulfilled desires that make us go from one body to another body. The Sukshma Sharir keeps on going. The day we get Jnanam at that stage, since Agyan is the basis of Sukshma Sharir and Sthul Sharir, the whole series just merges into God. That's it. Once we realize that this realization, which is also called the moksha, that I am not this body, I am this Atman only. This realization, we all listen to it every day, but we don't realize it. We don't constantly realize it. The day we realize it, we still have to continue this birth. We still have to continue with this body. But at the end of this body, we will not go to a second body, because the Agyanam is gone and the Sukshma Sharir will vanish after this prarabdh of this Sharira is over. Venkatji, that answers the question?
So my so yeah. One thing is, so what is in delusion, or what is filled with ajnanam? I mean, because so body is gross, body is ghost. Then we have mind, you know. So what part you am I making
Self
sense?
is delusion,
Uh-huh.
that I am this body. That is the biggest delusion. That is the biggest delusion, that I am this body. We all do our activities around this body for fulfillment of desires, for the betterment of this body, for betterment of me and mine, for myself and my kids, my family, my this, me and mine is the biggest agyanam you know on this universe. That itself is agyanam. Since we have this illusion that I am this body, everything attached to this body becomes a part of it. So that illusion needs to be broken by the Guru's Mahavakyas, Pragyanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, and all those four Mahavakyas. When we get to that level of intellect by Antahkaran Shuddhi, that we can absorb what Guru is telling us, when we get that absorption, at that time that agyan will go away, we'll be jnani, we will not have any desires. We will still do the work. There's a difference between kriya and karma. Kriya is something without a desire. Kriya, any activity. When the desire attaches to it, becomes karma. And karma is the reason of next birth. That's why we are all being advocated to do the kriyas without a desire attached to it. Karm karo, phal ki ichha nahi karo, without a desire of the result. The moment there is a desire of the result, that kriya becomes to karma. And the karma is the reason for the rebirth. That's how the cycle rotates. So illusion, number one, there is one thing called illusion and one is called delusion. This is a delusion, completely reverse. Illusion is you see something, you think it's different. That's called illusion. Delusion is you are basically thinking something which does not exist. That's what is the delusion. Completely different thing we have interpreted. So does that answer your question, Bhavani ji? What is the question left?
No, I understand where you are.
Yeah.
My question is just on what actually carries that delusion or desire. I don't.
Okay.
What
So
part?
what
Yeah. So because
part?
the mind is supposed to end with us,
No,
with
mind
this
does not.
body,
That is the basis of Vedanta.
right?
That is, there's no doubt about it.
Correct.
Man, Buddhi, Chit, and Ahankar, the four components of Antakaran, they don't die with us. They don't die with us. They don't die with this physical body. When the physical body dies, these four things and the cause of these four things, all the Antakaran, which has four components, that with Agyanam, these two things, they move to the next body. Agyanam being the basis, being the cause of the Antakaran, these two things move to the next physical body. To fulfill all those desires and all those things which are being carried in that mind. That mind is rather, I should say, the biggest hurdle. I mean, and the biggest boon we have. If we use it as a boon, to understand it and get rid of that, we all have all heard of that example of removing the throne with another throne.
Yeah, that's on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that applies
So,
here. Mind, if we use it as a boon to understand the concept, this will work as a boon for us. Otherwise, it will be a biggest hurdle. It will keep us rotating in life from one birth to another birth.
So
Saira,
I want to also add here that, Sairam, whatever we do in this life, accumulate in the form of good and bad karma. So
Mm-hmm.
this is still part of the subtle body. It's going to carry forward, and all these are do not go away with the body. So that is how we go and get accumulated into the previous lives. All the karma we have just brought a little bit of it in the prarabdha karma in this life, but it'll all get mixed with the other lot, and then then you pick some and come back into this life. So if you want to empty that, the only way to empty it is in this life. If we go like Manoj explained, to get rid of the ajnana that, hey, all these are not the truth. And that is when you get, this the jnana.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Agree.
Saira.
Yes, sir.
So I will try to give a shot about it to make it a more uh, science blended with spirituality, because that's always my favorite topics. I try to study articles related to spirituality and blend it into science, how the science and spirituality go together. So there are a few articles I studied. I will try to explain as much as I understood from those articles. So when we take physical body, right, basically, so we are operating with these five elements where brain is our center focus, the mind is the process. So when you look at the physical body, you have a conscious mind which is interacting with the senses, and there is a subconscious, and there is underlying ether body. Normally what happens in spirituality, the brain is the center point of all these activities taking. I mean, there are other parts also, they have their own neurotic system inside. They act individually, autonomously. We are not talking that part scientifically. So whatever we do, think, or actions we make, these are all happening through the mind, right? The mind is interacting with the external world. Subconscious mind is, again, it acts when you are in asleep, you are in meditation. That's where your thoughts and all this will be taken care by subconscious mind. But normally you don't recognize that, oh, I am now engaging my subconscious mind. It is completely autonomous. So then the ether body comes. So all these things what we perform, end of the day, they are going to be imprinted on the ether body. That's what we call sthula sharira, right? So sukshma sharira. Normally the scientific name in western side they call ether body. So all these activities, thoughts, actions, karma, whatever, it's all going to be imprinted on the ether body. When the physical body ceases to exist, this is the ether body which has all these imprints, gets out of this bond, and then it carries all whatever ajnana, karma, all this it carries next to the other in birth. But when it goes there, because of the stula sharira has these some imprints, that is pushing back to the again to the conscious brain. So that's where now you are trying to be a spiritual person, you're carrying these memories in the ether body. So next to go, this ether body, when it enters into the physical body, again it is pushing that imprints back. So then next time when your brain activates from the stula, I mean the sukshma sharira, you will be probably towards more progress towards spirituality, because the external world what you're interacting is again linked with this ether body that you don't know at that point when you go for the next birth. So that's what is the carry forward mechanism works based on what I understood from these articles. Maybe I tried to explain in simple form, but it's not that it probably a bit complicated too.
Jai Bhai has exactly said what is Vedanta is exactly the same thing in English version. Exactly the same. Exactly the same thing in English version. The terminology is little different, but it's absolutely the same thing which we talked about. So this is the process. It keeps on going, and the day it gets the jnanam, that jnanam which is the basis of sukshma and sthula sharira. Once we get that knowledge, everything will vanish, and we kind of get into that the moksha. That's it.
Absolutely.
So, Sairam, so yeah, I understand Manojji and
Jay.
Dhananjay ji. See, the thing is, so if we have to look at what we need to do, normally we look at the aspect of Maya, at least at this point after attending the satsang and all that. So we are able to recognize whenever we go through some issue or some challenges, we are able to recognize, oh, it's all a part of Maya. Okay, we are able to say that. We are able to say, okay, it is a passing cloud, it will go away. All those things we are able to say. But how do we realize the existence of Maya on a day-to-day basis? Even when there is nothing there going on, no challenges, nothing, you're just going about doing your work normally. At that time, also the Maya exists. And we got to realize that it's Maya there too. How do we do that? How do we get that? Any
Well,
suggestions?
yeah,
What
like, let me,
of doing that? My question is, what is the need of doing that at that stage?
Because the whole thing, I think, if we have to get rid of the Maya, in other words, I shouldn't say get rid, if we have to go past the Maya to realize that these are all illusion, and so that we do not have. So what you're saying is, when there is no desires, then there is no need to worry about Maya. Is that a logic there? Or should we always be concerned, or should we always be
Yes,
aware
we
of the
should be
Maya, existence of
about
Maya?
Maya, because we are uncertain about our own sukshma sharira, because we are uncertain when the desire will come up. Bhartrihari is an example, is the right example. If people have read the story of him, He went into almost self-realization state, but not to the ultimate stage yet. He went to forest, and he was in the same stage what Venkatji has just mentioned. Nothing was bothering him. He fell in love with a heron, with a deer. He fell in love with the deer,
Mhm.
and that love, falling in love with the deer, provoked a subconscious desire, and he had to take another jarma, like of a deer after that.
Mhm.
So we have to till the time we don't reach that stage, we have to be aware of Maya will enter from any of those five senses we have. It will so even if you don't have a desire this moment, stay aware. That's where our meditation and prayers and satsang and closeness to Lord and closeness to Guru is going to help us, so that we stay aware of it. Any moment, the senses are so tricky. They are so tricky. They will, that's what the job assigned to them is, that they will, bring back you into Maya.
Yeah, so I want to just add here that, one of the recent quotes from Swami, you know, all the senses, they are there, like Manoj just said, they are there to bind you. And that is where, bind you to the outside world. And that is where the desire comes in. And so only when we shut the senses, we are able to look deep inside, and then we are able to shut out that thing. So to answer your question, Venkat, uh, in how can we be desireless? It is very difficult. That's why Swami came up with this thought of ceiling on desire. So start with that, put some limits on whatever thing we like now, and slowly, as we get used to that, then you will put new limits and keep reducing it. And hopefully, in a few lives, we will come to some stage where we can become desireless.
So I would take another, you know, opinion on that one, right? So basically, if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to get into Maya, so is that possible really? No, because you are in the physical body. You need to have that attachment with the body to perform your daily routines. If you think my body is Maya, this thing is Maya, whatever the purpose that body took, you are not going to do any of these things. So this body is like an instrument given to you, as long as you know that this body is also came with the Maya, and then keep working towards that. Okay, I have to do this job, but as Maya pushes me to get the result and see the result and enjoy the result, that's where you need to understand. Okay, that because that imprints on your again ether body. If you attach with Maya and performing the duties to expect results and then enjoy these outcomes and all this, then your body is completely into that imprints on your ether body. Again, you carry forward to next janma. That's what Manoj is saying, because
Mhm.
he got into love and then again it imprinted on the soul, and next janma
Yeah.
he went as a deer. So, but you think that okay, this body is given for certain reason, so I have to perform all my duties. If I think, oh, I am this body is Maya, I don't need to play my father role, I don't need to play my employee role, I don't need to play because it's all Maya. What I'm going to get out of it? No, that's not the purpose. The Maya is to keep your body intact to perform the duties. At the same time, you have that intellectual tells this, okay, this is Maya, you do your job, move on, keep move on, and then whatever the thoughts that comes out of that is going to imprint. Okay, now you are not actually pushing that negative karma into your ether body for the next soul you are carrying, because you are not attached with of anything, but you are performing all your, you need to take
Duties.
bath in the morning, you need to do puja, you need to go to job, you need to do all the other activities. For that the Maya is required for you.
Mhm.
So that's the difference. Like Maya is not something that going to put you in the jail, but it all depends on where we have to stop it and where we have to attach with that one. Maybe
Exactly.
that's what I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Jai Bhai. Yes, that's the essence of the whole chapter. Utilize Maya to your benefit. What is the benefit? The utilizing it for doing your duties, number one. And when we talk about duties, what is our param duty? So definitely taking care of family is one of the duties. But what is the param duty? Param duty is to utilize this human birth to get moksha. That is considered as param duty, the most ultimate duty. But definitely to reach to that stage, we have to do all our karmas, doing our duties, use the Maya to our benefit, use it wisely. That's why the human birth is there, because human brain is wiser than any other species. And then moving from avoiding all the tamoguni, that's where the role of gunas come in. Avoiding all the tamoguni karmas, tamoguni thoughts, tamoguni company, tamoguni food, avoiding all those tamoguni activities, going to rajaguni, food, company, environment, and karma, rising above to the satsang, the positive, all these sattva karmas, satoguni karmas, satoguni food, satoguni clothes, satoguni activities, that company, spending the whole day in satagun. And once we keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that, we'll have to, we will move beyond the satagun also. Moving beyond these three gunas will take us to that eternal state. Because one, the example they give in Vedanta is tamoguni is like a iron shackles, iron chains we are bound in. Rajoguni is like a silver chains. Satoguni is also, Satagun is helping us, but that is also a golden chain, golden shackle, which will bind us. We have to keep doing it. That's the topmost category, and beyond it is the moksha. So keep doing our activities, but our all in the center of our mind, in the thought process, in the back of our mind, and our karmas should move slowly from all rajagunis to satagunis, and from sataguni beyond to that eternal state.
Ram, I just want to add one more perspective, scientific perspective. So any, physical object that we see, we can pick anything. It has got, if it is a plastic, you have some carbon, hydrogen, and, something that came from the ground. It was probably processed with some heat. It was probably used some air from, air and nitrogen or something from the atmosphere. It needed the heat coming from the sun. You'll find that almost all the physical objects that we see have come from the universal universe. All the five Panchabhutas, which have congregated in a different composition to give you that particular shape and feel and thing. So that is the Maya. So it is the same five elements combining in different forms to give it a different shape, and we believe that shape is to be the real thing, and the shape and form. So that is Maya. So as long as we see all the time that these are nothing but a different composition of all these things which have created this, so I need not be designing for that anymore. So that is how I think I'm giving a little bit, infusing science into this.
Adding to what Jay Bhai had mentioned, doing duty is going to help us elevate. That's why Krishna told Arjuna in the war land to do his duty. So doing our duty is a progress in our elevation to a higher level. So no one is discouraging to do the duty. I mean, even if he was emotional, even if he wanted, he was just being emotional. That's all. So he wanted him to still do the duty. So doing duty is a step forward in the elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Saira.
Yes, Saira.
Yeah. Okay. So Maya is not bad, right? Maya has two parts we talked about before, Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Our problem is with that Avidya Maya is predominant. So, as Venkat was talking about the clouds in the sky, the blue sky is clear. It is not even blue, but it appears blue. And the clouds are there. So, what are our clouds clouding our mind? Those are the things we have to get rid of to see the clear blue sky. Okay. So in that case, we can say our clouds are ego, anger, selfishness, jealousy, hatred, lust, whatever the gunas we can talk about.
Mhm.
And then when we turn inwards to our real nature, then we can say, okay, we can replace all those negative ones with truth, purity, and contentment, all that, and forbearance. And the mental purification, that's the one drives away the clouds. And the Maya, that avidya Maya, that gets removed, and using our Vidya Maya to turn towards inside, self-control, truth, and all the integrity and all that. So then Maya is, Vidya Maya gets us to liberation. Actually, the bondage and the freedom both happens in Maya. Okay, we have to understand that we are not going to get rid of Maya.
Correct.
The both, I have learned that they both are going to happen within Maya only. So all we can do is practice to get most of that Vidya Maya, which is to turn inwards. Okay, and the desires also, all these things happen in the mind is very important. We are not going to shut off the mind also. So the mind, we need the mind to understand all this, to get liberation also, mind is needed. So all these are interconnected. And the subtle body you all talked about, that is true. Where is it? It is in the mind only. The mind has no specific form, shape, place, right? All these are consisted and called as mind. So that's what I wanted to say. As long as we turn towards the Vidya Maya, use Maya. Maya is needed for us to get liberated also. We cannot get away from that. But to understand that, and the mind itself, it is the cause of bondage and liberation. That's what in the chapter it says, right?
To make it simple, see, I would say this is the same Maya which is make us to sit together and think about spirituality, doing good, talk good, listen good. This is the same Maya helping us to move towards the goal.
Yes, Maya, yeah. We call it mind, right? Mind can work as a tool like a fire. It can help you get warmth and cook food, but it can destroy also. Mind can play both.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to give Jyoti ji a chance. I know she's been.
Yeah, I just, Sairam, I just wanted to say a couple of things about imprint on your mind or your vasanas. The best thing is what in Bhagavad Gita is you have to do karma. There's no way living in the world you can sit like a rock. You have to do karma, but do not look for the fruits thereof. So that's how nishkam karma. You have to do nishkam karma. Then there is no imprint on your for your future birth. Secondly, not having desires is very difficult and maybe impossible for a human. That's another thing in the Gita. Krishna says that any karma which is not virodha to dharma, I am that. So there's a whole bunch of shlokas about that. So he does not say that do not be desireless. There's a couple of things I wanted to say about the Gita. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, the
Nice.
only desire we can have is the desire for God. We don't have to, get rid of desire, but keep the desire as the desire for God. Then we are
I
okay.
mean, basically, dharmic actions, I think, also.
Yes, dharmic.
Yeah. Anyway, we are at time today. We can continue the discussion on Saturday. So I hope to see you all on Saturday for our in-person discussion to continue this chapter and its questions. So thank you all for joining today. And let's end with Om and Tri Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.